All right, so we're going to talk about the small intestine next. The small intestine isn't really that small. It's just the tubes are narrower, okay? But it's not really that small. It's got 3 parts to it. So we've got the duodenum, we've got the jejunum, and the ileum. The duodenum is the first part, that's what the stomach empties into, and it is about 10 inches long. The jejunum, which is the next section, is about 7.5 feet long. The ileum, which is the next section that will dump into the colon, is about 10 feet long. So this is a really long tube, long part of the tube of the GI tract. So it basically functions in 2 things. Chemical digestion and absorption. Okay, very important. So the tube itself looks a little bit like this. And these lumps and bumps, so this is the lumen, and each one of these things is a circular fold. And the circular fold, circular fold, sound that wrong there. So the structure of that circular fold with its villi and microvilli make this a really good place for absorption because it makes it give a really large surface area to be able to touch a whole bunch of the stuff that's in there. So the high surface area of the tract comes from, well, its length. That's why it's so long. From the circular folds. And from the side, the tube itself looks a little bit like this. Okay, so those are the circular fold part of it. Along with that, there are things called villi and microvilli, which really gives a high surface area for food. So we look at one circular fold. It looks kind of like this, sort of. Okay, so this is a circular fold. And in it, the circular fold is made up of villi. Okay, the villi is covered with epithelial cells that are simple columnar. And those epithelial cells, if we take a look at those cells, take a look at that here. Those are going to be cells that are simple columnar. So those are going to be long cells, and they're going to be covered with little extensions of their plasma membrane called microvilli. These areas here dip down, kind of like the gastric pits, but they're called the intestinal crypts. So that's where they come down like that. Okay, there's blood in here, of course. So there's blood that comes in here. Capillaries. And also, there's lymphatics. Darker than that. So there's lymphatics that come in here. I know it looks like I'm just making a big old mess, what I'm trying to make here, but just know that there's a blood supply in there, and there's also lymphatics. These lymphatics are called lacteals, and those are important because that's where fats are digested. So there's blood there to bring in proteins and carbohydrates, and the lacteal is in there to absorb fats. Okay. That's about it for the anatomy, microanatomy of the small intestine that you need to know. So now let's look at absorption.